Hello everyone, it's Mr. Barden here. Today, this video is going to be kind of following up with the next part of the, project I have all my students doing, which is combining all the things we've done to make a 2D game from the ground up. The first video, which I'll have linked in the description, or it'll pop up in the cards throughout the video, probably both. It has us get to this state where we have essentially the functionality of the game, but none of the prettiness. Like it works, but it's kind of boring. For now, we'll get there. This isn't going to be the most amazing game in the world. I do want to point out a few quick things though before we actually get into it. The first is that if you were expecting me to be working with sounds, I forget if I mentioned that being the next step in the end of the previous video. I tried it. I was recording the video, but there were some weird technical glitches that I had never really run into before while I was recording it, so I just decided to scrap that, go back to where we left off in the last video, and we'll do the sprites, and that'll give me a little more time to figure out what the heck was going on. So I'm going to move my mouse back down. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm going to keep it on the screen right here, is that I've ended up having to tweak just a little bit of stuff from the last video. In addition to the sound errors, there was all of a sudden an issue where the player sprite, which isn't on the screen because it game overed, wasn't able to collide with any of the keys that we have to collect, which are the green circles right now. I couldn't quite figure out what it was, and basically what I did is I took the function key collect, if you recall from the previous video, and I essentially took it out of that function and just put it into the conditional where we're checking all the keys. And I've got this conditional that's present in the draw loop right here. So again, the idea being if we have more than one key left, then whenever we collide with a key, we want to collect it. When they're all collected, we're going to turn, basically unlock this black square right now, the door to go to the next level. But for whatever reason, I know the reason, I'm getting to that, the player sprite, the blue square, would not, it would touch the green circles, but nothing would happen. So I was trying a bunch of different things, and it ended up turning into just a a bracket issue. I had basically I had the else here, one bracket too early, so it was all of the okay, and then just collect the key if there's one left. Essentially, was being if the player isn't colliding with the door instead of if there was more than one key remaining. So a little bit of rearranging on that. That's literally the only thing I've changed, and I'm keeping this on the screen. So if you need to update yours real fast, I've got this on the screen right here. Again, this is the end of the draw function, the very last thing. That's what this bracket is connecting to. So everything else is the same, and then I've just got this conditional statement right now. So again, I'll keep that on the screen for just a second, but if you need to pause the video to make sure all of that looks the same, that's fine. If you just rearrange your conditional so that way the function calling key collect is here, then that'll work too. Just make sure it's all arranged. I just took this and moved it. So keep that going for just a second. Again, if you need to pause it, we'll go from there. What we're going to be starting with is uploading a bunch of images to our sketch files in order to use. You can host these online and link to them if you want, but I like to load my images in when I can, just so that way I don't have to worry about, wherever they're being hosted doing something weird. So I've got a folder with a bunch of little subfolders. I'll just bring it over here. Right here, so that way you can see all the things. So and I've broken it all down, so here's the player character, the enemies, and just the level background things. I'm gonna have a link to where you can download all of these images yourself, attached in the video description. That'll be there. They're all open source, free to use things. so you don't have to worry about copyright stuff with that. Or if you wanted to use different images, go for it. Explore, try different things. But in order to organize all of this, I think I have a total of, let's just count, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27 different images. That's going to be really annoying to look through all of this right here, so I'm going to actually be doing some folders and subfolders in order to organize all of these, just like I'll have in the links here that'll all be in folders and subfolders for you. So I'm just going to go into my sketch files, and we're going to make a folder. Images. Boom, right there. I'm going to click on images, and we're going to make another subfolder. And this, again, PC for player character. Click on images, create folder. Level for the level assets, and enemies. Let's just do enemy. Just that way we don't have two things called, because we have enemies.javascript. I like to make them a little bit differentiated. So the next step is to upload all of the images. I'm going to do the player character last because that one even has more subfolders for different animations. But all the other stuff, I'm just going to get uploading. So if I click on the folder I want, enemy, we're going to upload a file. I'm just going to drag and drop them. So for the enemies, we're going to use these little slime sprites. This may be a very stylistically eclectic game with a variety. I tried to make everything kind of similar. They've kind of got this little 8-bit game kind of look to it, but they're from all different kinds of packs and resources. That's there. If you were actually making a game like this, for real to sell, you'd want to, make it a little more cohesive in terms of style, but we're focusing more on the functionality of it. So there's the sprites, the level assets we've got right here. So click on level, upload file, drag and drop these new ones here. So we've got some textures, some items, things like that. So that's there. And now we've got the player character. The player character actually is going to have 3 different animations, so I'm going to make a folder for each of them. And this will be idle, move, and what did I call the other one? Idle, move. Oh, there's hurt. And when the player character finally, when you end up losing, you get the game over, you get that one. So that's all there is. I'm going in and loading up all of these. Again, if you're enjoying the video, you're learning stuff, definitely like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube-y things. It definitely helps out, gets more people checking out the things. Upload file, that's what I need. And all that. If you have any, as we're doing this also, if you have any questions or concerns about anything you're doing, anything I'm doing, definitely put those down in the comments. I love seeing what people make too. So if you really like your version of this, post a link. I'd love to check it out. All right. So the idle, you can see, I've just got just a generic, hero character I've had in a file on my desktop for years. I don't 100% remember where it came from, but one of the many sprite resources available for you all. Idle. So that's there. And movement. Yeah, movement is the last one. Okay, so these are all loaded. So if you've done this kind of thing before or have some general knowledge about it, you may notice, all of the images are already split up. In P5 Play and generally in game design, you'll actually see all of the sprite animations on one single file. And the way that the computer is going to build it is going to look at this image file and say, okay, this section is the image I need, and then that section and that one. It's very useful for saving space and resources in your device. It can be a little, in my experience with the previous iterations of the P5 Play library, it can be a little finicky to work with. So I personally prefer to split all of mine up when I have the storage space to do so, which I definitely do in this scenario. So again, different things as we go. You may notice different ways to go about it. Definitely check out the P5 Play stuff right here in order to play around with that. If you want to try it's called a sprite sheet instead of just the individual images. It does save space and make life just a little bit easier. So now we've got all of the images here. We need to load them into the sketch. So I'm going to hop into sketch.javascript, and we're going to pull up function preload. Right there we are. And we're just going to load up all of these utilizing a for loop. We don't have a ton of ones with the same number of frames, though, so we're going to need a handful of for loops for this. Not the end of the world. So we'll need to make some arrays for the images. Let's see. Boop, 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 boom. Slime. Images equal an empty array. Let I won't put all the levels in the array. Yeah, we'll say let door lock, door open, floor text, the floor texture, we have the key, and the wall texture. We got those, and then we got a few more animations to add. So let player, like game over, that's an array. Player hurt, so when they're hurt but they haven't gamed over yet. Player idle, so just whenever we're not moving, equals an array, and player move is another array. So all of that there, this is going to be fairly repetitive, but we'll get the idea. So we're going to want to make a for loop, and we'll say let I start at 0, I less than, we'll start with the slimes, 4, I plus plus. So slime images, but specifically whichever one we're at for this for loop, it's going to be load image, and this, then we just tell it where to locate that image as a string. So that's in the images folder. Yep. Slash enemy slash slime hyphen move hyphen, and we need to look at I, so plus I plus dot png. So the way that this will work is that if I spell that right, it will, for every iteration of the for loop, it's going to go look at this file pathway right here, but it's going to update the number to match whatever iteration the for loop is on. So it'll find each of these individual images, load them up into that array, so we can then attach them to a sprite. we're gonna load up all of them here, so they're just ready to go. So again, this is gonna be a little repetitive, but we'll get that done. So I'm just gonna copy the for loop to save some time, and then we're gonna skip the level assets because I'm doing those individually, and we're gonna do the player assets right here. So, one is less than 7, and instead of slime images, we want player. There we are. Images, and now we just update this part right here. So instead of that, this will be under PC // advent urer hyphen and then hyphen 0, because this has an empty 0 in front of it, so we need to include that 0 there, whereas these ones did not. They came from different packs, so that's why. So that's there. If you happen to have animations with the same number of frames, you can actually load them all up in the same one. So I'm gonna when we get to idle, we're gonna do that because that one has the same as the slimes: 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. It's very common to start all your numbering at 0. I would highly recommend that you do that. Just so that way, one, most computers will start counting at 0 anyways, and then they will, it's just a nice standard to have. Player idle, no, it's player hurt. And instead of that one, this will be hurt and hurt. And hopefully when we run this, we won't have any issues, but if we do, it'll tell us where to find the files. So there's hurt. Idle, actually, I'm just going to copy this line, and because it's got the same number of frames as up top, we're going to stick it in this for loop right there. And this will be player idle, and then just update this to match the file names. Idle. There we are. So that one's there. Then we just need one more for loop right there, and play. Then we're just updating it. Player move. And this one is actually labeled differently at run. So there are all of those, and now let's just add in the individual images real quick. So I'm just gonna copy and paste that. The key's already a thing, so it's now key image. So door lock equals. I'm just gonna separate these out now. Load image. I'm going to tell it where to load it. So the images folder, and then the level subfolder, and then we just want door hyphen lock dot png. And again, I'm gonna copy this line because it's pretty much the same thing. Copy, paste, and now it's just door hyphen open. And then it's just floor. All of these are PNGs this time. And then wall hyphen texture. So that is now loading in all of the image assets with a lot of for loops. So again, the way that this will work is we're manually loading each of these individually. I just did that to make life easy. Down here, we're going to, in a for loop, so really quickly, look at this and add it in, but we're going to stick them into an array. So that way we can a little more easily say, yeah, grab this image, stick it there. use it where we need to do. So if I refresh this, we're going to find out if it can't find any of these images. Hey, it found all of them. So if you've mistyped anything here, then you're going to get an error that says it basically can't find the image. And 95% of the time, whenever my students have that issue, then it's because something somewhere was misspelled. So maybe you mistyped where to find the image. Maybe you typed a wrong number in your for loop and it's looking for an image that doesn't exist in the folder. Maybe you have a capital letter somewhere. I don't know. I'm not looking at your code, but if you're getting big red errors down here, look and see which images it's talking about, and see if it's looking for one too many, there's a misspelling, compare back and forth. But right now, we've got all of them loaded. I'm going to keep preload here. We're going to need it for the sounds a little bit later, but now we can start to, got the game over, we can start to put these images onto the sprite. So the first one I'm going to do is find the background. There it is. And I'm just going to stick the floor texture on it. So I just called this one floor text for floor texture. This is, again, from the top down. It's just one static texture image. And it's going to be resized to match the canvas size right here. So if just in background, I just paste that there and we refresh it, we should see the image, and that's already a lot more exciting than what we had before. Again, I just found this free to use tile texture. If there's something else you want to use for yours, go for it. As long as it's functional, that's the key thing we're focusing on. So I've got that there. Let's stick the wall textures on here. I've got the animation stuff pulled up already. So that's nice and easy, but we can go ahead and we may come back and look at this, but we've got the load Annie or load animation methods we can use. Either one I think will work. So let's just go to where we're making the walls. So let me go find that. Not enemies, walls.javascript. There it is. So make walls. We don't want the boundary walls. We want the all walls. Here it is. All walls dot load Annie. And I called this wall text. Just to make sure I spell it right, we're going to copy and paste. And now this will probably resize the sprites. We're going to find out. And it got angry. Okay. So we'll do it a little differently instead, and we'll say this wall. And we'll move it up. And we'll just stick it right there, and we'll get rid of adding the color to the walls. Okay, so load Annie doesn't seem to want to work. Sprites with animations. Oh, it'd be add Annie now? Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, P5 Play version 3 is made by different people than versions 1 and 2. So they have slightly different animation names, and I'm used to the old one. So we're going to try add Annie instead. And then we got to give it a name. That's it. So not load Annie, but add Annie. And we'll give it a name. I don't know. These are never going to change, so the name isn't really necessary, but if we wanted to change it, which we'll do later, this name will come in handy. So now, if we load this... Really? Oh, it's because I thought I deleted that one. Okay, so I can see the texture, but that's something. I mean, they're still there, but that's not at all what I was expecting to happen. It's also where they get, like, the texture's there, but where's the sprites? Um, okay, well, what if we did it back down here like I wanted to? And we'll say all walls with a lowercase a. Helps when I type it right. Okay, so this is more like I wanted, but for some reason it just didn't apply the animation. Well, what if we just did it in the sketch file? After we make all the walls. After we make the walls, we'll give them it there. Huh. We'll come back to this because something's a little weird. So let's look at the sprites then, because we should be able to say sprite dot add animation. Then we can just say animation equals whatever label we want to give it. Sprite. Anyways, sorry, I got getting distracted trying different things. Let's try it with the enemies now, and if we're getting a similar issue, we'll know it's something, interesting. So function make enemies. So instead of this enemy dot color being red, we'll say this enemy dot add Annie. And we'll say, enemy move. And now in this one, when we're starting to add it, there's some things we can play around with. And that is, we just have to basically say what, what assets we need. So if we'll just say, what did I call this? Sketch.js. Just slime image, and then 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Zero, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, and 3. Tidy that up. And okay, it worked on the enemies. They're there. These are not the best sprites because these are kind of rotating in, real time. But we're going to leave it there because it's functional. We can also say, if I want to double check that it's here. I wanted to see animation. Yeah, scale. So, we can make them just a little bit bigger. So if I said scale, okay, yeah, so I need to talk to the animation and then we'll scale it. So what we can do is say, how do they do it? They did it a little bit differently. So if I just said this enemy dot scale equals 2, will this make them twice as big? It will. I like them a little bit bigger, makes life just a little bit easier with the game, easier to see what's going on. So they're just going to be there, rotating, flying around in space. It is what it is. Okay, so that's there. Let's get the door and the key open. And again, we'll come back to the walls because I'm not sure why those were not acting properly because we're not getting any errors. So, not those. Let's see. The keys. So we're making the keys here. I'll do it like this. This key. This key dot add animation, or just add any key, and then this was called key image. There we are. Boom, hop back into the keys. Key image. Make sure that's all up to date. And let's look. Okay, so we've got the keys, we've got the enemies, we've got the floor. That's great. I'll make the keys hair smaller. This key dot scale equals. Okay, so they look a little big. I like that a little bit more. We're going to ignore the massively huge tile textures, but I like these key sizes a little bit better. So that's there. New level. Where did I stick my door sprite? It's probably under. No. Is it under sketch? It is. There we are. Okay, so now instead of door dot color, we want door dot add. You can see it's a little repetitive, but we're just sticking it all there. I'll get to the more fun stuff in a second. So we're gonna double check again because I wanted to make sure the sprite animations. Yeah, by default, the last animation added to the sprite is the one being displayed. So we actually want to add the open animation first, which is just, I think it's just door open, or door lock, door open. Door. And then door dot add any locked door lock. I call it lock or locked lock. Okay, so now we should see when we refresh this, the black square, there's always been one that's been black, that's the door, should have a, it should look like a door with a chain going across it like this. And I see it way down here. Oh, you can't see it because I'm in the way. Let me just hide my face for a second. So it's right over here. We can refresh it maybe and it'll pop up. There, it's down. That's easier to see. Right there on the screen. So our goal is to move around, collect the keys, and then go to this door. But we need to actually unlock the door. So if we have right here, if keys remaining is less than 1, then we're going to have every time door dot any will equal open. So now we're actually going to play the game a little bit. We should see this door change after I collect all 3 of the keys. Boom, 1, 2. So yeah, keep your eyes right about here where my mouse is, and we should see that door change. Boom, there it is. And it's a very subtle change, but it's just the same, but without the doors. And if I touch it, the level resets. So, boom, that part is working. Great. I guess next we'll add along the sprite characters right here, or the sprite animations for the player character. I can't do words anymore. So instead of the player character being a specific color, we just have player dot add Annie. It's, again, the same thing. We got to give it a label. And again, the last one that you give it is the one that will, what is it? It's the one that will display by default. So I want my idle animation to be last. Outside of that, it doesn't really matter. So we'll just go with move. Move, and then player move. I called it player move, right? I'm gonna be double checking when I name it all the time. So that's there, and we just have to specify what frames we want to have there because it's a multiple images. So 0, and we have 0 through 5, comma to separate them. Copy, paste 2 or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we get rid of that. So if I refresh this, we should now see that the player character who appears in the middle of the screen should actually look like a character. And it got angry at me, so I tried to make a new. At line 68, the name of the animation must be the first. Remember, I did. What? This is. Okay, well, let's keep looking. Images, player character, move, 0, 0. Oh, that's because I never changed this. So the for loop, we need to make sure the for loop runs for the right amount of time. So 0 through 5. So if it's less than 6, for player hurt, 0 through. Yep. Okay, now let's. There we go. And there's the player character. I want the player character a little bit bigger. So we're going to find, there it is, player dot scale equals 1.5. There we are. So if you haven't noticed, whenever you add an animation to a sprite, the sprite automatically resizes to the dimensions of that image. So we'll add that there. While I'm at it, we'll also make the door a little bit bigger. Door dot scale equals how big does that look? That's a little too big. Yeah, sure. We'll keep it at 2. All right, so now we're just gonna basically repeat the same thing with all of these. Again, keeping the idle one last. So, player dot add Annie, hurt, that had 3, so 0, 1, and 2. So that one's there. Tidy that up because that's just bugging me. I mean, this is a very repetitive part, but again, we're just adding them all up right now. 2. So now we've got move, hurt. We need the Death animation. And I called you player 2. There it is. Copy. And this has the most at 7. So we're gonna copy 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'll make sure we got all that there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I think we're now, that's 3, so I think we're just at the idle. Boom. Idle. And I'm pretty sure I called this player idle. Yep. Copy. Tidy that up. There it is, the duplicate. And the idle animation, oh, it only has 4. Zero, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so if I refresh or tidy that up, refresh it, we now should see the player just kind of vibing. And there they are. You're going to notice, though, that looks a little fast. And we can actually change the speed of all of this. If we go to animation controls, we can do the frame delay property. So we just need to talk to all that specific animation and adjust that frame delay property. So, player dot. For right now, we're gonna leave it. But you can see right now the player still moves, everything's functional, but we're not changing the animation. I may make a separate little sub video if you want to customize like the settings and the movement speeds and stuff, because you're probably going to want to, once you add your images, you're probably going to want to tweak it to match what you've got. So let's make them swap. So let's find move player. There we are, move player. And automatically when we move the player, we'll say player.any equals move. When the player stops, player.any equals idle. Right there. We're not quite done with the moving part of it yet, but just to show it off. Did I not call it move? Oh, no, I just misspelled player. There it is. So now it's idle. Now it's running. Now he stops. Running, stops. But you notice he's not flipping around and changing things. Well, now he's rotating, but that's different. We'll probably get rid of that in a future video. But that's there. But as soon as you stop, the player stops moving. So that part's great. Let's find the enemies sketch, because that's the other one. So when we get hurt, we will say player.any equals hurt. And let's just check that out. So when we get hurt, not all at the same time. Is it overriding it because it's swapping to that? So let's go back down. I think because we're calling this every frame, it's automatically like it's changing and then overriding it to set it back to idle. So we can say if player dot Annie is not equal to hurt, then we're going to do this thing. So it'll swap to the hurt animation, and it'll stay that way until the player is starting to move. That's what I'm trying to get at. So open, close. But we're still going to make the player speed be 0 regardless. So I just move that down there. Oop. That button. So there, that'll line that up. I'll tidy it just to make things easy to see. If we run this, we get hurt. We should see the animation change as soon as someone hits me. I couldn't quite tell. Yeah, I'm going to remove this rotation because that's definitely annoying. I'm not really seeing a difference. Let me just compare the images. Idle, it's just kind of vibing, and then hurt. Yeah, it should kind of be like, ow. Well, I'm not sure why that one's not swapping. But we're gonna move along for right now. So, putting that there. So, let's hop back into just normal sprite stuff. So we're gonna learn sprite. So we should. I'm seeing if there's in this new version. A way to mirror the images. Not rewind loop. Not seeing it there. In the older versions, you could flip the images, but sprite.mirror. Here we are. I don't know why that wasn't in the other one, but maybe I just missed it. So we just say blank.mirror.x, and then if it's true or false, it'll flip it around. So if we move to where we're moving the player, move player. If we're moving, so by default, the player is facing to the right, the screen right. So when we move left, you'll say player dot mirror dot x equals true, and then when we move to the right, player dot mirror dot x equals false. Let's test it out. Boom. Okay, let's. Yeah, so now as we're moving around, the player is now facing whatever direction. Now, in this particular instance, we don't have a back-facing sprite. Otherwise, whenever the player is moving up, we could take it and move the basically display the back of the character. I'll double check though, just to make sure that it's not hiding there. Was that you? Is there a back sprite hiding? No, there's a ton of attacking sprites. Yeah, none of the back images, so we're going to keep it like that. But again, the process is essentially the same. You would create the animation with the frames you want in the order that you want them, and then you would just say when the player moves up, change it to the back-facing sprite. when it moves down, you swap to the normal movement sprite. That's pretty much it. So that part is there. And at this point, again, I'm not sure why the hurt animation wasn't quite going, because we should be calling, function ouch. And then move player is happening after that. And then in move player, we're saying, if we're not moving, we're going to stop. But in here, if the player animation is not set to hurt, then we're going to set it to idle. But then under enemies, if I go to function ouch, you just set it to hurt right there. Okay, yeah, we're gonna make it so that way they stop rotating, because that's annoying. It still rotates as part of the collision data. So I'm gonna have to look into a way to get that being a separate thing. But I'm just testing. Okay, that collected that key. Game over. But it's collecting the keys. We saw the door things work. Now we're gonna try to get the walls to appear properly. Why the walls aren't appearing properly, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so this is the boundary walls that we can't see. Oh, wait. All walls. No, okay. Boundaries aren't added into all walls. Okay, cool. So, yeah, we want this for loop. So we're going to make a wall. And again, they're all random. This wall dot. Okay, so we don't want to set the all walls, but we want to set the this wall dot add animation. So this wall dot add any wall, so it doesn't change, and wall text. And it should, I mean, I don't know why it's behaving like this. Maybe it's because the texture is so massive. This wall dot scale equals 0.1. Let's just see what that does. Okay, yes. I don't like that texture now that I'm looking at it. But this recording has gone on for almost an hour, so we're going to leave it for now. And that'll be part of the next thing. So, wall texture, we're going to make it 0. Make them bigger. Ew. Yeah, that texture looks really gross when it's all shrunk down. So we're definitely going to open up the next video with swapping that texture for the wall. But that's going to be actually really easy. I'll talk about it right now. So what you would do is just find the wall texture here, delete it, find a new one, load it up. I would put it in the same place, and you can even just give it the same name, and just once you've loaded it, because it's got the exact same name and location, the code will just run and update with the new texture. So that'll be very handy. I need to look more and find one that doesn't look super gross. I didn't realize how big that particular file was. So we're going to change that because it just looks nasty when it's all combined in the context of what else is going on the screen. I had a different one originally that they matched a little bit better, but again, for reasons I had to swap them out. So we'll do that. And we'll say, let's do this. Let this rotation equal So these are going to be rectangulars. So 0, comma 90. There we are. So they're going to be rectangular. I don't want them all facing the same way because, as you can see, it just kind of looks like that. So we'll say this wall dot rotation equals a random value from the rotations array that I just made. Tidy that up, and now we should have some of them facing horizontally, some of them facing vertically. And there they are. I mean, that's pretty much it for now. So again, I'm going to be coming out with a follow-up video to this. I'm going to leave the things we commented out today in the video, but for now, we're approaching the end. So definitely check back if you've got any bugs going throughout the video. But we're starting to add it. It's looking more like a game. It'll look, I mean, it's not the most amazing game in the world, and it's very eclectically designed. Hi, Bean. Tear it up. I don't know if you can hear it tearing up the cardboard in the back. That's there. So, where was I going with this? I got distracted by bean noises. So again, it's starting to look like it, but it still needs a little more polish, and it still has no sounds. So like before, when I had, video 1 point whatever, I'm going to have, now we're going to go to video 2.4 or 3, whatever number I pick. I don't honestly want to go to 2.1, but I don't know if I'll... I'm rambling at this point. There's going to be another video. It's going to be 2 point something, and we're going to come in and swap out these textures right here, so that way they don't look horrible. I mean, it's not a bad texture. It's just in this context, it doesn't look good. And then we'll see if we can swap out some of the text AI stuff at the same time to kind of match the theme of what's going on. And then that should be the end of this whole section, really. And we'll move on to the audio stuff, and that will be, again, right there. Let's save all of that. And that should pretty much be it. I may do maybe one, like a third video in this little section as we tweak some of the gameplay to better match what's going on with the images, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So yeah, that's where we're going to wrap it up for here. If you enjoyed the video, learned something, again, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube things. Because this is a project my students are doing, the link to this sketch will not be in the video description. However, in the final version, when this is all done, we've got through all the sound and we've tweaked the sprites and the UI, I will put a link to every step along the way into that, so you will be able to find all of those. So stay tuned for more. But if again, scroll through the previous videos if you're trying to code along with me and need some help. So that's there. Also, if you did not see the previous video, you will have had issues. I should have mentioned this at the beginning. But in the organization video, I basically broke up a massive sketch.js file into several smaller and easier to manage files. Like, here's all this stuff about the keys, the walls, all that. I was hopping in and out of them, but if you didn't watch that other video, it's going to look a little confusing, comparatively speaking. So that's there. Check that out if you need to. Go through what I did and how I did it, or you can just keep it all in your sketch file. It doesn't really matter. I just think it's easier to navigate and find stuff, like when I stuck all the images into these folders. Right here, I can be like, oh, something's wrong with my idle animation. There's the frame that doesn't work, and try to figure that out. So anyways, that's going to be that. I'll have everything else in the description below, and if you have any questions or concerns, definitely put those in the comments, and I will respond to those as I see them. That's where we're going to end up with today, and I'll see you all the next time that I see you. Bye.